Imagine for a moment that time is not a river flowing from past to future, but rather an infinite ocean, still, vast, and ever-present. Imagine that consciousness is the vessel that sails upon it, moving not through time, but across layers of perception. What if everything you have been taught about time, that it passes, that it moves, that it begins and ends, is only a shadow cast by a deeper, hidden truth? In this journey, we will unveil one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world, a truth once guarded by the Egyptian god of wisdom himself, Thoth. His secret about the real nature of time and consciousness reveals not only how reality is structured, but how your very awareness shapes it. Stay with me until the end, because the final revelation is the most powerful of all, one that has the potential to transform your understanding of existence itself. Before we dive into this sacred knowledge, make sure to subscribe to this channel, leave your like and share your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement helps this message reach other seekers of wisdom across the world, because what you are about to discover may forever change the way you perceive life, death, and the eternal moment between them. Throughout history, Thoth has been revered as the keeper of hidden truths, the divine scribe who recorded the language of the gods, the master of writing, science, alchemy, and cosmic law. In the emerald tablets attributed to him, Thoth speaks of mysteries that defy ordinary human understanding. He describes time not as something that flows linearly, but as something that exists all at once, simultaneously. He tells us that time is the motion of consciousness through the planes of existence, suggesting that time is not external. It is born within the perceiver. Think about this. If consciousness did not exist, would time still be experienced? Without awareness, could there be a before or after? Thoth's insight suggests that time is a construct of mind, a way our consciousness organizes experience. The past and future are merely perspectives, illusions projected upon the eternal now. This aligns with what modern quantum physics now proposes, that all possible moments coexist in a field of potentiality, waiting for observation to bring them into being. In this sense, consciousness is not bound by time, it is the architect of it. You are not moving through time, time moves through you. Every moment you experience is like a wave on the surface of an infinite ocean, unique, transient, and yet inseparable from the whole. The real you, the observer behind your thoughts, exists outside of time altogether. When Thoth spoke of the halls of Amenti, he was not merely describing a mystical place beneath the earth. He was describing dimensions of consciousness, levels of awareness through which the soul travels in its eternal evolution. He revealed that those who awaken to their divine nature can move beyond the illusion of linear time, remembering their past lives and even glimpsing their future paths. How does this ancient wisdom resonate with the discoveries of modern thinkers? Albert Einstein once said that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Likewise, the philosopher Alan Watts observed that we do not come into this world, we come out of it as leaves from a tree. Both statements echo Thoth's teachings that consciousness and reality are not separate, and that what we call time is simply a reflection of our state of awareness. This understanding changes everything. If time is a creation of consciousness, then mastery over time begins with mastery over mind. This is why Thoth emphasized the importance of inner silence, meditation, and the expansion of awareness. When the mind becomes still, the illusion of time dissolves, and what remains is the eternal presence, the now that has no beginning and no end. Have you ever felt a moment so intense, so alive, that it seemed to stretch beyond seconds, as if time stood still? That is a glimpse of the truth Thoth spoke of. In those rare moments, you experience what mystics call timeless consciousness, a state in which your awareness aligns with the eternal now. But what if this state could be cultivated intentionally? What if time itself could be perceived differently, not as a sequence of ticking seconds, but as an unfolding of consciousness? In the next part, we will dive deeper into Thoth's revelation of how consciousness moves through time and what it truly means to transcend it. We will uncover how ancient initiates used this knowledge to expand their perception beyond the boundaries of ordinary reality, and how you can begin to awaken this power within yourself. Because the real secret of Thoth is not just about time. It is about the power that lies dormant within you, waiting to remember its eternal nature. Think of your mind as a prism through which the light of eternity passes. That light, pure consciousness, enters the prism, and through it, the illusion of past, present, and future is born. But beyond the prism, beyond the filtering of perception, there is only the pure light of awareness, infinite, indivisible, timeless. Thoth understood this, and through his teachings he invited humanity to rediscover that eternal light within. According to the Emerald Tablets, Thoth declared, "Know ye that time is but a thought, a sequence of events in consciousness." This statement holds a profound key to understanding reality itself. It tells us that what we experience as time is not an external force pushing us forward. It is a projection of our inner state. When consciousness vibrates slowly, time seems to move heavily and sluggishly. When consciousness expands and vibrates faster, time seems to accelerate or even disappear. Ancient initiates understood this secret. In the temples of Kem, the priests of Thoth were trained to enter altered states of awareness, to slow the rhythm of their breath, still their thoughts, and awaken the higher faculties of the mind. In these moments, they could transcend the illusion of linear time and perceive existence from a higher dimension. They saw that all moments coexist in an eternal now, like pages in a book already written, waiting only to be read. But how does this knowledge apply to us here and now? Modern science offers a mirror to this ancient truth. Quantum theory reveals that reality is not fixed until observed. Particles exist in a state of probability, only taking form when consciousness interacts with them. This means that observation, awareness itself, is the force that shapes reality. Thoth's wisdom anticipated this by thousands of years. When he spoke of the mind as the builder, he was describing what we now call the observer effect. In this sense, your consciousness is not merely experiencing time, it is creating it. Every thought, every emotion, every perception you hold sends ripples into the ocean of eternity, shaping the pattern of your reality. If you dwell in regret, you strengthen the illusion of the past. If you worry about what's to come, you solidify the illusion of the future. But when you rest in presence, in awareness itself, you step into the dimension of eternity, where all possibilities exist at once. Thoth taught that to become a master of time, one must awaken to the eternal observer within. He called this state the awakening of the light within the shadow. It is the moment when you realize you are not the events unfolding in time. You are the consciousness through which time unfolds. You are not the dream, you are the dreamer. Reflect on this for a moment. What if every incarnation, every life you've ever lived, every choice and possibility, all exists simultaneously in the great tapestry of consciousness? What if your soul moves not through time, but across frequencies of experience, like a needle tracing melodies on the record of eternity? The philosopher Henri Bergson once wrote that time is invention, or it is nothing at all. To Thoth, this invention was sacred, not a prison, but a tool for learning. Through the illusion of time, consciousness experiences growth, contrast, and meaning. Without the perception of time, there could be no story, no evolution, no remembrance. Thus, Thoth's teaching was not to escape time, but to understand it as an expression of divine intelligence. The more one awakens to this truth, the more the boundaries of time begin to dissolve. Mystics, monks, and visionaries throughout the ages have experienced states where time ceases, moments of deep meditation, revelation, or transcendence. In such states, the mind expands beyond the linear and touches the eternal. Thoth called this walking between worlds, existing in the material dimension while being aware of the timeless essence beneath it. Imagine standing at the center of a great spiral. Each loop of the spiral represents a moment in time, past, present, future. As you rise in consciousness, you ascend the spiral, and from that higher perspective, all loops become visible at once. You begin to see that nothing is truly behind or ahead. Everything simply is. This is the perception of the awakened mind. Thoth's wisdom teaches us that when we align our consciousness with this eternal perspective, we can begin to consciously shape our destiny. By observing without attachment, by mastering our thoughts and emotions, we alter the vibration of our being, and time bends to match our frequency. This is not just mysticism, it is the foundation of manifestation itself. The more you realize your timeless nature, the less you are bound by the limitations of circumstance. You begin to operate from the realm of causation rather than reaction. Thoth referred to this as the art of becoming the cause, not the effect. Think of how different life would be if you truly lived from this awareness, if you understood that every moment, every challenge, every dream exists already in the eternal field of consciousness. How would you act if you knew that your future is not waiting to happen, but waiting to be realized? In the next part, we will explore how the ancient adepts of Thoth used this understanding to travel beyond the limits of time, to access higher realms of wisdom and memory, and to bring back knowledge from beyond the veil of mortality. We will also uncover how this same process can awaken the dormant potential within you, to remember who you truly are beyond the illusion of time. Because Thoth's greatest secret is not about time itself, it is about the one who dreams within it. Across the vast deserts of ancient Egypt, beneath the stars that mirrored the geometry of the heavens, initiates gathered in silence within the sacred halls of learning. The temples dedicated to Thoth were not places of worship as we understand them today. They were centers of transformation. Every wall was inscribed with codes, every symbol carried vibration, and every ritual served one purpose: to awaken the eternal within the mortal. The disciples of Thoth understood that to master the mysteries of time, one must first master the rhythm of the mind. They were taught that the universe itself moves in patterns of vibration, cycles within cycles, eternities within eternities. As Hermes Trismegistus, often identified with Thoth, wrote in the Hermetic corpus, "That which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below." This was not mere philosophy, it was instruction. It revealed that the same forces shaping the cosmos also flow through your own consciousness. When the rhythm of your thoughts aligns with the rhythm of creation, you begin to perceive time differently. It no longer feels like a chain binding you to cause and effect, but a dance in which you are both participant and choreographer. Thoth's initiates learned to slow this rhythm through breath, meditation, and sacred sound. Through chants that resonated with the frequencies of the earth and the stars, they could step beyond ordinary perception and witness the eternal present. Modern neuroscience is now discovering what Thoth's priests already knew, that the brain's oscillations, its rhythmic pulses, shape our perception of time. When these waves synchronize into coherence, such as in deep meditation, the sense of time dissolves. Minutes become moments and moments expand into eternity. In this timeless awareness, the initiate could communicate with what Thoth called the lords of the cycles, higher intelligences that govern the flow of evolution and the unfolding of consciousness across dimensions. This understanding opens a profound question. If time is a cycle and not a line, then what we call past lives and future incarnations are not separated by distance, but by vibration. They coexist in the eternal now, like multiple frequencies of light emanating from the same source. When Thoth spoke of remembering past lives, he was describing a shift in resonance, a tuning of the soul to another frequency of its own existence. Can you imagine what it means to awaken such awareness? To realize that the ancient being who once walked among the stars, the philosopher who gazed into the mysteries, and the seeker who listens to these words now, are all expressions of the same consciousness, observing itself through time. Thoth taught that memory itself is not stored in the brain, but in the field of consciousness. The brain is merely a receiver, like an instrument tuned to the song of eternity. When you attune yourself to higher states of awareness, you begin to remember not just events but principles, the eternal truths that echo across lifetimes. This is why those who awaken to their inner light often feel a strange familiarity with spiritual knowledge, as if they are remembering rather than learning. The Emerald Tablets describe that within the halls of Amenti, the souls of the wise rest between incarnations, preserving knowledge and waiting for the call to return. These halls are not physical chambers, but states of consciousness accessible through deep meditation and initiation. They represent the domain beyond time, where every lifetime is seen as a single breath in the eternal life of the soul. It is said that Thoth himself mastered this process, transcending mortality and becoming what the ancients called a master of the sun cycles. He moved freely between worlds, his consciousness no longer bound by the ticking of cosmic clocks. Legends tell that he still exists, not in the past but in the ever-present, guiding humanity through the currents of awakening whenever the cycle of knowledge returns. Consider the possibility that such masters are not external beings, but higher aspects of your own consciousness, echoes of your divine self that dwell beyond time. When Thoth speaks through the ages, perhaps he speaks through you. His words are a mirror reflecting your forgotten divinity. What would happen if you began to live from this awareness right now? If you saw every experience not as something happening to you, but through you? Every moment would become sacred, every challenge a teacher, every second an opportunity to awaken. This is how the initiate steps beyond time, not by fleeing from the world, but by perceiving the eternal within it. As physicist David Bohm once wrote, reality is not a collection of things, but a process of unfolding. Thoth's teachings echo this perfectly. The universe is not a fixed structure. It is consciousness unfolding itself, discovering its infinite nature through endless forms. You are part of that unfolding, a fragment of eternity realizing itself. The more you awaken to this, the more synchronicities begin to appear in your life, moments when time seems to bend to your awareness. You think of someone and they call you. You dream of an event and it manifests. These are not coincidences, they are reflections of the harmony between your consciousness and the greater field. Thoth called this the dance of the timelines, a reminder that when you align with your divine nature, the universe responds in perfect rhythm. In the next part, we will uncover the ultimate revelation of Thoth's secret, the truth about what time truly is and how consciousness itself gives birth to reality. We will explore how to awaken the eternal self within you, the timeless observer who transcends life and death, space and form. Because in the end, Thoth's mystery is not only about understanding time, it is about realizing that you are the timeless. Imagine for a moment that everything you have ever known, your memories, your dreams, your fears, your identity, are waves upon the same boundless sea of awareness. Each wave rises, dances upon the surface, and falls again into the infinite deep, never truly beginning or ending. This is how Thoth described the movement of consciousness through the illusion of time. To him, time was not a prison, but a teacher, a divine rhythm that guides the soul toward remembrance of its eternal origin. In the final revelation of his wisdom, Thoth unveiled what he called the secret of the eternal now. He said that all forms, all worlds, and all beings exist within a single infinite moment, a moment so vast that it contains the entire universe within it. Past and future are threads woven into the same fabric of consciousness. Every thought you think, every choice you make, ripples through this vast tapestry, touching everything that has ever been and everything that will ever be. Modern science is now beginning to glimpse this truth. The theory of relativity shows that time and space are not absolute. They bend, stretch, and merge depending on perspective. At the speed of light, time stands still. To pure light, there is no journey from beginning to end. There is only presence. Thoth, as the Lord of Light, understood this. He knew that enlightenment, the awakening of the divine within, is literally the process of becoming light, of transcending the illusion of time by embodying the vibration of eternity. In one of the Emerald Tablets, Thoth declares, "Man is in process of changing to forms that are not of this world. He grows from the formless into a form that is light." These words carry the essence of his final teaching, that the destiny of consciousness is to transcend the density of time and matter and return to the pure awareness from which all creation emerges. Time, then, is the cocoon from which the soul awakens into its true form, infinite light. But how can this truth be lived, not merely understood? Thoth taught that the key lies in alignment, the art of living with awareness anchored in the present. The eternal now is not a concept to be grasped by the intellect, it is a state of being to be entered. Every breath, every thought, every heartbeat can become a portal into the timeless. When you become fully conscious of the present moment, you step beyond the illusion of before and after. You awaken to what mystics call the 0 point, the center of all existence, where creation and dissolution meet. To live in this awareness is to realize that you are the observer behind all experiences. You are not the flow of time. You are the stillness from which it flows. When you begin to see through the eyes of this eternal self, fear of the future dissolves and the weight of the past falls away. You become, as Thoth described, a traveler of the ages, free from the chains of the cycles. This realization is the true alchemy of the soul. It transforms the lead of limitation into the gold of enlightenment. Every experience of joy and sorrow, gain and loss, light and shadow becomes fuel for awakening. You begin to understand that time was never your enemy. It was your greatest ally, the mirror through which eternity learned to recognize itself. Pause for a moment and consider, what would change in your life if you truly lived as the timeless self? Would you still rush toward the future, or would you rest in the perfection of the present? Would you still fear endings, knowing that every end is only a return to the beginning? The philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present." This echoes the same truth Thoth revealed millennia before, that peace, power, and wisdom are found only in the now. To dwell fully in the present is to dwell in eternity. As your consciousness expands, time begins to respond differently to you. Manifestations occur faster. Synchronicities align effortlessly. What once seemed impossible begins to unfold naturally, as if the universe itself were conspiring with your intention. This is not magic, it is mastery. Thoth called it the command of light, the ability of awakened consciousness to shape the rhythm of creation through pure awareness. In the end, the secret of Thoth is not hidden in temples or ancient texts. It is hidden within you. Every heartbeat carries the rhythm of the cosmos. Every breath connects you to the infinite. Every thought echoes through the fabric of eternity. When you realize this, you no longer seek the eternal. You remember that you have always been it. And so, as the words of Thoth echo through the corridors of time, they are not calling you to escape reality, but to awaken within it, to see that you are the scribe, the page, and the story all at once. You are both the dream and the dreamer. The past and the future are merely mirrors reflecting the light of your own eternal consciousness. Time does not move, you do. Time does not pass, it unfolds through you. You are not bound by its current, for you are the ocean itself. Remember, the greatest secret of Thoth is not about learning something new. It is about remembering what your soul has always known, that beyond the illusion of time, you are eternal, infinite, and one with the consciousness that dreams the stars into being. And now, as this journey comes to its close, remember that every ending is only another beginning, another ripple in the endless sea of awareness. The real nature of time is not to bind you, but to guide you home, to the timeless truth of who you are. Thanks for looking.